Can you just start by, are you okay?
Yeah, okay.
Can you just start by telling me who you are and what organisation?
Okay, Steve Lawrence is my name. I work for an organisation called Work Ventures based in Sydney that's involved in employment and community economic development in disadvantaged communities.
Of all the professions you could have gone into, why did you decide to become a social innovator?
I think because I didn't have a choice. I think the reason that it kind of happened, and I did a social work degree, and so I went into community work, and I worked initially for the government, helping advise other organisations, and then one time somebody said to me, "You're advising people to do some stuff you've never done yourself, so why don't you get out there and actually see if your ideas really work?" And so that's kind of what got me started, and I actually left my job and went to live and work in an alternative community that agreed to support me to see what I could do in a local community.
Do you think social innovation is a tool, or is it actually a movement and a philosophy?
I think it's a process, or a set of processes. I think it's a way of describing how we solve social problems, I guess, and trying to create the right pathways and arrangements or collaborations that will enable problem solving.
Do we need to define its values more clearly?
I think we certainly need to try to articulate the values that we think are critical to good practice in this field. Like everybody, in a sense, brings the values they bring to the work that they do in whatever field. I think it's quite important that some values are contributed in social innovation, that are values about openness, willingness to disclose failure, values about collaboration, about crossing sectoral boundaries, about crossing boundaries of discipline, about engaging users and the target groups, if you like, of our interventions in the process so that they take leadership and there's an empowerment process that takes. So I think those are, for me, those are really critical values for this field. What
about the values of the social change you're trying to affect?
What do you mean by the values of the social change?
Well, is this about social change of any sort, or is it social change to create a kind of society that you feel strongly about? Or?
I'm sure it's about creating the kind of social change that builds a better society. Now, each of us carry in our heads some sense of what we think better means, and I guess forcing people to be a little clearer about what it is that is for them is quite important.
What have you got out of the last few days?
Oh, I think an enormous amount, just by hearing people talk about the way they're working and the kinds of work that they're doing. I think sometimes there's a tendency for all of us to kind of do what I call the show and tell, where in a sense you hear the glossy side of what people are doing, but they are still, the trust isn't yet there as fully as it could be, so that people aren't quite as open about where they're struggling or where they're still confused or where things have not worked.
Do you think it's a crossroads?
No, I don't think it's really a crossroads. I think it's an important development stage we're part of. Where an emerging field is starting to take shape, and I think where, in a sense, we know we have an opportunity to really shape for the future something that's actually quite important.
Thank you.
All right,
perfect.
thank
You're
you.
A star,
Good.
complete star. You
All
now
right,
deserve your lunch.
All right.